So now, as I see this administration, I do have concerns that with the president's call for broad-based tariffs against friend and foe alike, that ultimately the administration is advancing policies that are not targeted at countries that have been abusing our trade relationship, but rather are essentially new industrial policy that will result in inflation, that will harm consumers and ultimately harm the American economy. So again, I want to be clear, when it comes to China, when it comes to decades of trade abuses, my view always is free trade with free nations, that we ought to be engaging our trading partners across the free world to lower trade barriers, lower non-tariff barriers and subsidies. But when it comes to authoritarian regimes, we ought to get tough, stay tough, and demand that they open their markets and respect our intellectual property.
He dubbed it Liberation Day, and you wrote in reference to that the only thing that Americans had been liberated from were trillions of dollars in investments. Do you think he understands the impact that it could be having on regular Americans?
I think he does.
But he's still doing it anyway, in your view?
President Trump and I had many long conversations about trade in our 4.5 years. I strongly supported our administration's policies on trade, including the get tough policies with Mexico and Canada that resulted in the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, the largest trade agreement in U.S. history. But we were well on our way. We'd renegotiated a trade agreement with South Korea. We were well on our way to a new trade agreement with Japan, with the UK, even the EU was in discussions. But it was all based on using his instinct that tariffs serve the American economy to bring our trading partners to the table, to open up markets. My concern now is I see the president following more of what I think has been his historic view, that at the end of the day, a certain minimum threshold of tariffs on all goods coming into the country will serve the American public and our economy. Some people believe that. I hold the view that trade means jobs, and that if we were to erect even the 10% minimum tariff that is on today, if that was all that remained after this, I think ultimately it would stifle American growth, limit prosperity, drive up costs for American consumers, and we ought to be driving again toward that principle of free trade with free nations and standing tough, standing firm on authoritarian regimes like China.
So you think he's wrong on tariffs?
I do think this version of tariff policy that's broad-based, indiscriminate, applies tariffs to friend and foe alike, is not a win for the American people.